Welcome to Small Giants MSMEs in the Spotlight, powered by Ugro Capital, partnered by ET Now and ET Now Swadesh, a special series where we continue to unveil the unsung heroes of India's economy. In this episode, we delve into the pivotal role of government agencies in providing MSMEs with a range of support services such as training, counseling, and access to capital markets. We'll explore how the government has taken steps to enhance the support provided by these agencies to MSMEs, including setting up of MSME helplines and offering financial assistance for training programs. So without further delay, let's begin the show.
Micro, small and medium enterprises are the lifeblood of India's economy. They contribute nearly 30% to the country's GDP, drive about 45% of the manufacturing output and employ over 110 million people. Recognizing their significance, the Government of India has taken a number of steps to ensure that these businesses have the support they need to thrive. These steps include providing training and counseling to MSMEs, helping them to access markets and making it easier for them to comply with regulations. The government has also launched a number of schemes to provide financial assistance to MSMEs.
The MSMEs has been a very important sector as we move to the $5 trillion GDP. The MSME sector contributes to 30% of our GDP, and as we go ahead, it is expected to contribute to 40 to 42% in next 5 years. But it's not it doesn't come without its challenges and its nuances. Now, look at a small MSME in a small town. What are their challenges? Infrastructure, access to credit, skilled labor, technology adoption, and the government in its own way is doing a lot of things to address these. Look at this Skill India campaign. About 1.4 crore of beneficiaries of Skill India campaign have gone back into these MSMEs and therefore fueling the growth. The credit schemes that the government has come up with, these are not only at the providing credit but also capital subsidies. There are state level capital subsidies that are coming in. There are central capital subsidies that are coming in. Today, with a huge focus on green energy, the government is also providing subsidies at the state level and the government level for either rooftop solars or turning their logistics to green. On the technology front, there are these lot of schemes where the government is from Startup India or the Stand Up India to an entrepreneurship development, where the government puts in effort to upgrade the MSMEs and adopt digitization.
So in the research which we have done at Dun & Bradstreet, there's a big dichotomy in terms of how MSMEs grow. They're very small MSMEs, micro, they grow to medium, they become bigger companies. In the Indian context, what we have noticed is that the MSMEs struggle to grow from small to big compared to data in other countries, where a larger percentage of the MSMEs are in the larger category versus the micro category. So that there are fundamental challenges which these MSMEs have in terms of their growth from small to big when they start. But in terms of the Indian context, the MSMEs are superbly important because they are a large part of the economy. They're a large part of the employment ecosystem. They're a large part of the export ecosystem. And those are drivers for the Indian economy. So the more MSMEs prosper, the more people they employ, the more they produce good to export, it's a multiplier effect on the economy. So it's superbly important for us that we get this equation right, as how do MSMEs are a larger part of the economy, and that can only help the GDP of the country grow faster.
Access to credit for especially small SMEs and medium enterprises continues to be a challenge. I think largely on account of lack of proper documentation, collateral availability. I think the government has done a terrific job over the last 4-5 years. I think with some of the key initiatives, I would say largely to some of the loans which were made available under the entire Mudra scheme has enabled a lot of credit flow to small and medium-sized enterprises. And second, I think what you're now seeing in terms of the growth of the TREDS platform, largely in terms of providing invoice discounting, largely to meet the working capital requirement of small and medium-sized enterprises, I think has been also instrumental. Key from here on is also largely going to be about how do we ensure that we are able to take care of their growing needs, right?
I think the most important scheme which arises out of a paragraph in the MSME Development Act is on timely payment to MSMEs. In fact, to small and micro enterprises, and it does not apply to the medium enterprises, is that the buyer must make the payment within 45 days of receipt of the goods, failing which he is liable to interest at 3 times the bank rate. Now, this doesn't always work in practice, but this is one of the schemes which has at least created a lot of awareness that MSMEs do need to be paid on time within 45 days. In the budget announcement a year ago, and it is to be implemented from 1st April or 31st March of this year, the finance minister also put in a very interesting provision, which should be very useful to enable compliance. According to that, if at the end of the financial year on 31st March 2024, a company has not paid its MSME supplier within 45 days, it will not be allowed to book the expense of that purchase within its income statement, and effectively that amount would get added back to the profit for the year and they would be taxed on it as income. So with that, there has been a lot of awareness that let's make sure that we pay the MSMEs in time, because otherwise a lot of companies would just they would just ignore the 45 days period and take as much credit as they wanted. I must qualify that to say that in our experience, the large corporate houses with responsible management, in fact, have adhered to the 45-day payment cycle, and the timely payment has certainly improved within the last year or two.
In a landscape often overshadowed by corporate giants, the government is ramping up support for MSMEs with targeted actions. From establishing specialized MSME helplines to providing financial assistance for training, these initiatives are fueling the success of small businesses.
The small town MSMEs also have this challenge of exposure to the markets. But with the advent of GEM Sahay, with the advent of the ONDC in future, this is going to really change the game for them. They will be able to have a level playing field with the large players, with the large e-com giants, thereby ensuring that the growth at that micro level, the hyper-local level continues. The fear that they used to have, that the e-com players will someday overrule them, override them, kill them, is actually being changed.
I mean, when we say what are the problems MSMEs have, we say that there are 3 critical problems they have. One is firstly of just becoming more credible, more visible. Nobody believes them, nobody knows them. Secondly, once you become believable and credible, you start doing something, how do you find new clients? And that's a big problem. The third biggest problem, as you rightly said, is getting access to capital. Everybody has finite equity. You need debt to get business going as well. And MSMEs typically have very little, fixed assets or strategic assets which they can offer as collateral. So they always struggle in terms of financing. So that's where I think the government has been very proactive, very supportive in terms of putting schemes together where MSMEs can, effectively get financing, because the financer can get various kinds of cover and guarantees to put financing to play.
I think the potential for utilizing the training of the MSME sector is certainly very large. But if you ask what has been the impact so far, I think the impact has not been as much as is desirable or as could have been achieved. Of course, with that, there are certain qualifications and programs like the tech centers and tool rooms, which the MSME ministry runs, which have proved very successful, producing some very good people to go and join the manufacturing industry, as well as to make critical components for various national programs, such as the space program and the technical center in Bhubaneswar, run by the MSME ministry, for instance, made several critical components both for the space and defense sectors. So this kind of input is very useful. But on a broader level, we are now working, both in CII and the ministry is working on upgradation on two fronts. One is more digital literacy, and the other is automation through Internet 4.0. Both these programs require a very much increased level of familiarity with digital systems. And this has to be very, very widespread. It cannot be to a small group. It has to be across all sectors, across all states. And so the focus is now to move away these programs away from the large metro cities into the tier 2 cities and the rural areas. This would also facilitate inclusion of the non-metro SMEs into the global supply chains.
I think largely in terms of forward market linkage is something which has played a big role, right? Especially if you look at not only skill-based training, where you are seeing a lot of first-generation entrepreneurs coming in the areas of manufacturing. I think that's one big area where I think a lot of government initiatives and programs have been extremely impactful. But what we are also seeing is it's not just about training as far as capability and core set around manufacturing is concerned. It's also about softer skill training, I think, which is also becoming a extremely pivotal part of an enterprise own growth, especially I would say the forward market linkage based training, which has come in across sectors, again, has been instrumental, right? Because a lot of zone of value creation is when an enterprise is able to successfully take its product to market.
In a bid to empower micro, small and medium enterprises, the Government of India has rolled out a series of impactful schemes. The Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme was introduced and provided a cover of 3.61 lakh crore rupees lifeline to over 1.19 crore MSMEs. The Credit Linked Capital Subsidy Scheme offers a 15% subsidy on institutional credit for technology upgradation, fueling competitiveness and innovation. Simplifying registration, the Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum facilitates access to subsidies and benefits, easing the way for small businesses to thrive. Stand Up India empowers women and individuals from marginalized communities with loans for entrepreneurial ventures, fostering diversity and economic growth. The Prime Minister Employment Generation Program aims to create job opportunities, while the Credit Guarantee Trust Fund provides collateral-free loans to MSMEs. With an array of initiatives like raising and accelerating MSME productivity program, Udyam Assist platform and Self-Reliant India Fund, the government is paving the way for a robust MSME sector, driving India towards self-reliance and prosperity.
The large part of focus to my mind has to be on frictionless credit, right? Because what you see today, enterprises and the growth of enterprise and their own ability to unlock their human potential, the clear bottleneck is not about either their ability to manufacture great quality products or their ability to access the market. I think it's largely going to be how seamless credit can be made available to each of these enterprises, and seamless credit which is non-collateral based, right? Because collateral based lending to small and medium-sized enterprises will to a certain extent again limit the potential of where these enterprises will actually end up going.
As a result of that, in the last 2 years, I'd like to share a success story in the toy industry. The toy industry has reduced its imports of toys during the last 1 year by about 50%. And this morning's newspaper had a report that in a recent trade fair, toy trade fair in Germany, they've picked up crores and crores worth of orders from people who have found that Indian products, whether they be technical, electrical, electronic, or even wooden toys from places like South India, where you have lacquered toys, they have been very much appreciated by the West, and they have got a lot of orders. So I think this is the kind of support which we need, that stop the import of low quality products which in a way are dumping, because that holds back the ability of the Indian manufacturer to invest in and develop global products.
So there are a number of schemes, like I talked about Skill India, like I talked about ECLGS, like I talked about GEM Sahai, ONDC, and all the forward-looking things that the government is doing. Does the large MSME, does the final last mile MSME get the benefits of the government efforts? The fact is that there are two things that are stopping it from getting cascaded to the last mile. One, of course, is the MSME himself not being educated about it, and second are the delivery mechanisms. Let's say there is a Mudra loan scheme. Does the last person in a small bank in a small town in, let's say, Rajasthan know that this scheme is available for the MSME and that he can extend it, or does he again go back to a collateral backed lending to the MSME, thereby impeding his growth? So education not only of the MSME but also of the providers of these schemes, the delivery of the schemes, is critical.
Welcome back to Small Giants MSME in the Spotlight, powered by Ugro Capital, partnered by ET Now and ET Now Swadesh. Time now for an exclusive conversation with Deepak Tyagi, Director of Sri Raj Constructions, who is driven by the need to contribute to India's infrastructure development and has proven his mettle in the construction industry. Let's delve into his journey and unravel the secrets behind his success.
In a nation amidst a construction boom, Sri Raj Constructions, led by Deepak Tyagi, stands out as a specialized force. Deepak's commitment to meeting infrastructure needs has defined his remarkable journey in project development.
पिछले काफ़ी सालों में देश में इतना सब निर्माण का काम हो रहा है, उस सब को देखते हुए हमें ख्याल आया कि इस क्षेत्र में कुछ करना चाहिए और काफ़ी कुछ करने के लिए है। ये क्षेत्र ऐसा है कि अभी 40-50 साल लगभग हमारे देश को बहुत निर्माण की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, बहुत निर्माण से जुड़े लोगों की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, तो हम इसमें क्षेत्र में अपना कुछ काम कर सकें, तो इसीलिए हमने इसमें अपना योगदान दिया है। निर्माण से जुड़ा जितना भी काम है वो सरकार के बुनियादी ढांचे पे ध्यान देने के कारण ही शुरू हो पाया है, और आज सरकार का बुनियादी ढांचे को जो ये बढ़ाने का जो अपना इतना सारा काम चल रहा है, उसी की वजह से निर्माण से जुड़ी और तरह तरह की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से जुड़ी इकाइयों को बहुत काम मिल पाया है, और इसी तरह से हम जैसे लोग और जाने कितनी कंपनियां, उन सब के पास में आज काम की भरमार है।
In the fast-paced world of Indian development, many project development companies have flourished, including Sri Raj Constructions. However, a notable challenge arises: a shortage of skilled manpower.
अगर आप आज किसी भी सरकारी विभाग जो निर्माण का काम करा रहा है, अगर उसके आप पोर्टल पे जाते हैं, उनकी बिड्स देखते हैं, तो आपको एक नंबर्स ऑफ बिड्स दिखाई देंगी। विशेष तौर से जो केंद्र सरकार के काम है उनमें तो बाढ़ सी आ गई है। करने वालों की कमी इसलिए है कि मैं देखता हूं कि बहुत सारे जो स्पेशलाइज्ड वर्क हैं उनमें एजेंसी बहुत बार पार्टिसिपेट भी नहीं कर पाती काम करने के लिए, तो उन सब चीज़ों को देख के लगता है कि काम करने वालों की कमी है, काम की कोई कमी नहीं है।
MSMEs in India often grapple with challenges such as accessing timely funding, navigating complex regulations, and lacking financial expertise. However, Deepak has overcome these hurdles through prior planning and strategic collaborations.
बढ़ती मांग की वजह से एक सबसे बड़ी जो चुनौती हमारे सामने आई है वो रॉ मटेरियल की आई है। रॉ मटेरियल की टाइमली डिलीवरी ना हो पाना, उसका कारण है कि अभी निर्माण क्षेत्र में जो रॉ मटेरियल है उसके सप्लायर्स, उसके मैन्युफैक्चरर्स की संख्या अपेक्षाकृत अभी भी कम है। तो उसे अगर हम कोई ऑर्डर आज देते हैं तो वो टाइम से इसलिए नहीं मिल पाता क्योंकि ऑलरेडी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट के पास में बहुत सारे पाइपलाइन में ऑर्डर्स होते हैं। तो इस क्षेत्र में काम करने की ज़रूरत है, और हमने इसको इसलिए इस तरह से निपटाया है कि हम एक अपना मैनेजमेंट को सुधार के कुछ समय से पहले उसको अपना ऑर्डर दें, और ताकि हमें जिस समय चाहिए तो कम से कम उस समय तो मिल पाए। तो हमें उसके लिए अपनी प्री डिलीवरी एक प्रिपरेशन करनी पड़ती है। दूसरा जो चैलेंज आया वो फंडिंग का आया, जिसे हमारे बहुत सारे नेशनलाइज्ड बैंक और NBFC आज पूरा कर रहे हैं। तो हम भी कई बैंक से जुड़े हुए हैं, NBFC से भी जुड़े हुए हैं। तो वो जो हम प्रोजेक्ट नया लेते हैं तो उसमें अगर हमें कोई फंड की ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो उससे फुलफिल हो पाती है हमारी।
Deepak's vision for his company's future centers on bridge projects amidst India's railway expansion. His focus on quality and speed ensures timely delivery without compromising on excellence. For newcomers, he advises prioritizing skill development, efficient project management, and team building over immediate profits, ensuring sustainable success in the construction industry.
हम अपने प्रोजेक्ट्स में सबसे प्रायोरिटी हमारी क्वालिटी है। कोई भी हम काम करते हैं उसमें क्वालिटी का हमारा विशेष ध्यान होता है। उसकी वजह से ज़रूर हमने पिछले कुछ समय में मार्जिन्स कम लिए हैं, प्रॉफिट्स कम कमाए हैं, लेकिन हमें एक संतुष्टि है और उसकी वजह से हमें बहुत सारे नए प्रोजेक्ट भी कम समय में मिल पाए हैं। और दूसरा है हमारा टाइमली डिलीवरी। हम बहुत समय से काम को निपटा पाते हैं क्योंकि हमारे पास एक बहुत अच्छी खासी स्किल टीम है, तो उसकी वजह से हम अपने प्रोजेक्ट टाइमली डिलीवर कर पाते हैं। जो नए लोग आना चाहते हैं उनके लिए इसमें बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं, बहुत अवसर हैं और नए लोगों को देखना चाहिए कि इसमें काम करने के लिए बहुत कुछ है। लेकिन मैं उन्हें ये सलाह देना चाहूँगा कि किसी भी क्षेत्र में और क्षेत्रों की तरह इस क्षेत्र में भी जब आप कुछ काम करना चाहते हैं तो पहले अपनी काम की गुणवत्ता, काम की स्पीड, उन चीज़ों पे ज़्यादा ध्यान दें, ना कि मुनाफे पे। अगर आप काम के शुरुआती दौर में ज़्यादा फोकस मुनाफे पे करेंगे तो उससे आप बहुत लंबी रेस के घोड़े नहीं बन पाएंगे। तो आपने उसमें अपने आप को स्किल डेवलप करनी है, उसमें आपको समय से प्रोजेक्ट डिलीवर करने के बारे में सोचना है, अपना मैनेजमेंट सुधारना है, अपनी टीम डेवलप करनी है और मुनाफे को आपने सेकेंडरी सोचना है। जब आप इस दिशा में चलेंगे तो आप मुनाफा भी अपने आप चल के आपके पास आएगा।
And that wraps up this special episode of Small Giants MSME in the Spotlight. This week, we delved into the crucial support MSMEs receive from government agencies, covering everything from training to market access. The government's initiatives such as helplines and financial aid underscore their commitment to the MSME growth story in India. By highlighting key schemes, we've emphasized the significance of nurturing these small giants for economic prosperity. Alongside, we also discovered the key to success behind Shriraj Construction's excellence in this industry. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, goodbye.